Welcome to the second day of the International Congress on the Logistic and Supply Chain Systems, which is held in Poznań. This conference this year, due to COVID restriction, is in the virtual form. But as bonus, we welcome keynotes and presenters from all over the world. So I shall say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our all participants in different time zones. Yesterday, during the first day of our Congress, we have already presented two keynote speeches of Professor Kaba and Professor Pesz, and also we had two blocks of parallel sessions. Today, we will follow our Congress. My name is Paulina Golińska-Dawson, and I am the chairman of the conference. I should say, chairwoman of the conference. So what we are going to attend today, as mentioned before, today we have for you interesting keynote speeches. In a few minutes, I will give the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Adam Olszewski, who will tell you about the digitalization in the company and how it can be fueled during the COVID. Then, after a brief session, we invite you to Zoom to join our parallel session. Again, in the afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Polish time, Warsaw time, we will invite you again to the keynote speeches of Professor Hong and Dr. Chen from Taiwan. To both panels of keynote speeches, you can go directly by clicking the link to the event from the program. You can find them either online on conference webpage or at your mailbox. So let's start with our keynote session. Let me briefly introduce our speaker. Our first speaker of today is Mr. Adam Olszewski. Mr. Adam Olszewski is the Business Development Manager at Poznań Supercomputing and Networking Center. He's graduated from Poznań University and also from University of Stanford University, I should say. His research interests focus on digital twin, data exchange model in Industry 4.0 and healthcare. He has been leading a lot of high-profile projects at the Poznań Supercomputing and Networking Center. So the floor is yours. Please welcome Mr. Adam Olszewski.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Paulina. Good morning to all participants from Europe. Good afternoon to participants from further from the East. And I guess our friends from the US are still asleep, but if not, then also welcome. My name is Adam Olszewski, and today I'd like to share with you my insights about a quite noticeable trend in digital transformation. The trend is fueled by COVID, and it has some implications on the logistics. So today I will present some observations about the trend and also present one case study related to a company participating in a digital transformation project. To do this, I will share a presentation with you just now. But I need to get the right to share because it says that another participant is now sharing. Okay. Can you see my presentation? Let's hope
yes, we can see. Yeah, thank you. Yes, we can see it very well.
Okay. Also, great. Before I start the presentation, big thanks to the Poznań University of Technology for inviting me. It's a great privilege to be here and at this conference and to share my insights with you. On an everyday basis, I work for Poznań Supercomputing and Networking Center, which is a research and development unit based in Poznań, Poland. We have 400 and something employees, including 300 engineers in IT. And in our laboratories, we have completed more than 200 applied research IT projects, and we have more or less 50 projects ongoing. So the observations are based mainly on the projects I participate in, but also based on projects done by my unit, but not necessarily where I participate. The main mission of my department is to address the sustainable development goals, to innovate in a few selected areas, and the main area we are going to see and discuss today is SDG number 9, industry innovation and infrastructure. My research interests are around digital twins. Therefore, I thought it would be interesting to present also how I understand digital twinning in relation to digital transformation trends. So it all goes up from bottom, from the data, but data means very little, if not nothing. However, without data, it's not possible to go towards change and to create impact, neither in single companies nor in a broader context. Therefore, in order to actually apply digital transformation to companies and to provide results that can improve the operations, that can improve either logistics or decision making in industry, in a company, you must start from acquiring and cleaning your data. Only then you can move up from data to information, knowledge, and more advanced solutions based on the information and knowledge generated on top of data. And the first part of the trend we notice is that companies have been forced by COVID to apply decision-making tools. Mainly this happens because company managers are forced towards areas they had never been facing before. This causes the feeling of disorientation, and it's difficult to manage without fact-based decision-making tools, which can be provided exactly by a digital transformation. A few observations about what had been happening before COVID. Basically, in industry, many solutions, also decision-making solutions, were considered a gadget. Many times in the projects, we noticed downfall of interest in, mainly that was because there was a lot of engagement required from the companies. A lot of time and effort was needed to actually implement solutions. So even solutions that had been developed in collaboration with companies, it sometimes happened that they were not implemented because the company managers didn't see good enough justifications to undergo change and to invest in the time-consuming processes. Second trend that is now the change that is happening is the multi-stakeholder collaborations. It is very difficult to go through digital transformation without good partnerships, without others from your business who do similar things and have applied a number of digital transformation tools. Therefore, it is most of the time multi-stakeholder process. To involve stakeholders from other countries, from other regions, from other parts of the world, it had been considered very time-consuming and quite costly process, which due to COVID has become more user-friendly, because people started meeting online like we meet today, and the time-consuming trips turned out not to be necessary in a scale that had been considered before. At the same time, multi-stakeholder operations have become more dynamic, and in comparison to 2018 or 2019, it is quite noticeable across many projects that companies are more involved in the development process, and also they are more demanding towards research organizations because they meet a lot. In the public sector, there had been little social pressure on making use of data, whereas from last year you can see all both at the legal level and also technical level that data is being opened. For instance, in Poland, an open data GovTech platform has appeared. Also on the municipality levels, you can see a lot of interest from the cities to open up data and to transform everyday lives of citizens by implementing solutions based on data. And this is caused mainly because of the social pressure that COVID fueled. In NGOs, there had been little interests, both on developers' side and users' side. Developers were not very interested to support social innovations because they didn't feel the need. This also has been changed by COVID. Now, in our institute and in our networks, we can see a lot of voluntary developers, a lot of innovators who ask for challenges in social areas, mainly in order to improve their local situations. And they started understanding that if they don't engage, the NGOs will not complete their missions, which is basic thing for improving overall quality of life in their own regions. And last but not least, in social life areas such as culture, entertainment, digital experiences were considered inferior because you cannot really experience concerts or opera, ballet, theater, etc., without being in the real life space. And this was pre-assumption made even without giving a try to some digital tools. COVID changed this as well. COVID forced both spectators and actors and performers to start using digital tools to connect with each other. In many areas, it worked out well. In a few areas, it didn't. But the digital transformation that has happened would take many years if it was not for the COVID situation. Now, in industry digital transformation, it's all about investment risk, and the risk to transform before COVID was considered too high, and the justification too low to actually go into digital transformation process. COVID gave a lot of grounds to looking at the situation very carefully, because company managers faced with having to fire people, limit production, deal with unstable value chains, were faced with the need to apply new tools to the new situation. This justified actually for companies to devote the time of employees towards monitoring, observing the situation, acquiring data, providing the data to the providers of solutions, and actually going through digital transformation processes at very different levels, but still with the same purpose of optimizing processes in the companies, including intra-logistical processes, logistical processes, subcontracting value chains, etc. Also, what had been different was approach to change management and transformation and cultural transformation, which is most of the time an important part of digital transformation, because when a company changes workstations, changes the operations of either the production lines or business processes inside the companies, it normally takes changing positions of the people who work there. And without stable and aware approach to change management and culture transformation, even the best tools might fail. So this is also quite noticeable that companies gained this awareness about the need to communicate to their employees that they are just about to implement transformation tools, and that and to prepare from the organizational approach also the employees and the company. Last thing in this part, unless directly confronted with positive effects, many people don't start using advanced technology because they don't know, or they don't believe, or it is simply not certain that a technology will bring the effects it promises. However, when a company in COVID is faced with greater risks, it is much more susceptible to trying new things, and including digital transformation tools. From financing perspective, also the transformation was a bit modified by COVID. Comparing to 2018, when 200 companies participated in info days about digital transformation vouchers, in 2021, you already had 600 participants. In 2018, it resulted in 68 vouchers. In 2021, this year, we still don't know how many vouchers will be provided, but even if the number of vouchers will be similar, then the quality of results overall will be much better from 600 applications than from 200. When looking at Digital Innovation Hub consultants in artificial intelligence, IoT, virtual or augmented reality tools, etc., comparing to 2019, there was very low demand from business for such consultations. Whereas over those 2 years, we notice unprecedented demand across the whole Digital Innovation Hub network of 14 research organizations. Consultants are now overloaded. They are employed from other regions, and they still cannot address all the demand that has appeared. Now going to the case study. I'd like to present a project that PSNC has completed with a furniture manufacturer, Vox, innovating the furniture sector by co-creating advanced digital immersion research platform. This is an interesting use case because this project started before COVID, and it ended in the middle of COVID. So starting from the initial idea and goal for this project, the initial goal was simply to enable traditional clients to arrange interiors on their own. And the project started by analyzing actual settings, and the idea behind it was to transform those settings into digital visual data, and then to enable self-arrangement of the interiors. However, when COVID appeared, it extended the scope and number of expectations on the company side. And from a simple tool, it became a concept to actually democratize access to personalized interiors, including a lot of functionalities, optimizing logistics between the manufacturer, its subcontractors, its partners, designers, interior designers, furniture designers, constructors, etc. So the initial goal was fueled by COVID towards creating a very advanced manufacturing platform. This happened because COVID reshuffled risks, and it was not just for that one company. Although in Vox company, before COVID, it was quite maybe not challenging, but it was also not a simple decision to include 35% of company's own capital. Whereas today, after the project has been completed successfully, the company is willing to continue the developments even without public funding. What also has been changed partly by the COVID situation, was the need to shorten processes. In this situation, we went in this project directly from technology readiness level 3 to 7, because we omitted the laboratory testing and development works. So this shortened the innovation delivery process by at least 1 year. It was quite risky for the company to implement results of proof of concept in part of the company, but they wanted to get results as soon as possible. Therefore, they were more open than before to take such risks. Also, COVID redefined the process and approach to results. The project did plan to use virtual reality glasses and also to make focus groups. However, it was not the focal point of the project. Due to COVID, the virtual reality experience for interior design has been prioritized. So from a gadget, it moved it was transformed into one of the key deliveries from the project. Also, the process of focus groups testing the platform had to be changed to enable isolated and remote testing instead of what you can see on the slide, testing in groups in the rooms. Even though it was quite troublesome at the beginning, the overall result was quite promising because it enabled testing on much larger scale than planned. Instead of inviting limited number of people to a room, the company can now test new versions of the platform on almost unlimited numbers of users remotely. A few words about logistics, because the company wanted to make the platform superior. We had to bring truckloads of furniture to our laboratories, which is a bit unexpected, but all in all, provided fantastic results. Also, we had to prioritize discoveries provided by a huge number of focus group cohorts. So this made the process very developer unfriendly, very demanding, again with quite positive results. COVID also inspired demand for automation and remote collaboration tools, which became tools not only for the client-to-client or client-to-sales department collaboration, but also for collaboration among different stakeholders in the company and outside the company. So finally, looking at the case study and this trend from logistics point of view, I have to say that the key result and change was to involve subcontractors in the design and sale processes. This was required, this last point here, by all the previous points that surfaced during the completion of the project. So the company wanted to move the traditional shop floor to customers' homes. this is not possible without involvement from the designers, from constructors. Not only the IT specialists had to be included, not only the salespeople, but also uh, a lot of stakeholders previously not involved in the process. Because when you bring furniture to a shop floor, it's about hiring a truck. When you bring furniture to somebody's home in a virtual way, it takes a lot of data that has to be provided by all the subcontractors to the furniture that is being presented. So the door manufacturer, floor manufacturers, manufacturers of different parts of that furniture have to provide you with a lot of data. And it's not only the product related data, but also data related to the delivery process. They have to deliver data about production times, delivery times, about the availability of colors and structures, etc. So the process from the logistical point of view is very complex. The project ended with initial platform organizing this, but there is still a lot to do to actually provide superior services from the logistical point of view here. And just to show you the results that we were able to achieve, this is an example of 100% virtual room, self-designed by customers on the platform. As you can see, there is a big number of different products provided by different stakeholders. This is not only about furniture, this is also about decoration elements, about soft materials such as blankets, pillows, etc., curtains, floors. So there is a number of stakeholders that must be involved in order to actually provide the right experience to end users. The technological status when starting this project was that such interior design was possible, but it not in photorealistic quality. As you can see now, it's possible in photorealistic quality with all the shades similar to natural, also with different angles of lighting on each part of the presented product. So the level of reality has been polished. It is still being polished. There is still a lot things to optimize because these images are now being accomplished by rendering on rendering farms, whereas the ultimate goal is to enable an optimized version that could be delivered from local machines of end users. Also, the tool is being used as a sales tool for floor manufacturers that can advertise what your room looks like with different floors, or what your room looks like with different doors. So this is more or less the case study I wanted to present for today, and now I will open up for questions from your side. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience with regard to the digital twin, and also sharing the very practical application, because I think we experience it very often as the researcher scientist, that we are doing something which is relatively intangible, yes? So always, I think seeing practical implication is very valuable and interesting to all of us, and it's very impressive project, I must say. Just to follow our discussion, I have a few questions to you. So because you're giving example of the project that was started with Vox before COVID and continue through in the middle of the COVID, but in general, not only talking about this project, what is your experience? What's the experience of the PCSS? Is it more difficult to transform, to become digital during COVID, or hopefully after COVID, yes, pandemic, or before?
I would say it's both more difficult and easier at the same time. It's easier for companies now to take decisions. It's easier to find providers of digital transformation services, both in business and in technology, because those providers have become more dynamic. On the other hand, though, it has become more difficult because the prices of such services have gone up, and also the demand for such services has gone up. At the same time, companies, especially in the traditional sectors, are experiencing lower fluidity in their finances. So this makes it a bit more challenging for them to find budgets and also time for transformation.
Mm-hmm. And can you recommend any methods or tools for companies to consider when deciding to start their pathway towards digital transformation?
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a number of methods how to assess digital transformation stage of the company, and I think that's the first step to take a decision whether or not to transform. However, what is quite new and also a new trend is the multi-stakeholder collaborative tools and methods. For instance, digital innovation hubs is one of the new approaches to creating digital transformation services, where a number of research institutions in collaboration with provider side companies co-create digital transformation tools addressing specific requirements from industry, and I can see this happening and with quite promising results. This is a trend of open innovation in general. I think due to COVID, open innovation and opening up data also in the industry sector will be a rising trend.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. You have already very rich experience with regard to digital twins. And if you just can comment on this, is it a challenging area to conduct research in? What topic can be addressed there? Just some tips maybe for our participants who are just at the beginning of their way towards investigating deeper, starting some research project in area of digital twin, or considering if it's interesting or not research area.
Thank you for this question. when dealing with technology in digital transformation of companies, I can see a lot of missing elements and barriers that go beyond technology. So I think it would be great that digital transformation in research by researchers is not considered only a technological challenge, but also an organizational challenge that deals with company management, with decision making, also a legal challenge that deals with privacy, with acquiring data from the legal perspective, and also as an economic challenge that addresses creating new business models, calculating the investment risk that entails um, during the digital transformation, and also a social dilemma, actually, whether or not to transform and maybe fire some people or transform their competencies towards something they had never been doing before. So there is a lot of areas that must follow the very core technological transformation in companies.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much for your presentation. Can you just ask you kindly to stop sharing your screen for a minute?
Of course. Just a second. I have to find the right window.
Yes.
For
the challenge
sharing.
of digitalization, isn't it?
Is it okay now?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. And just let me for a second the link. Now is the So thank you very much for being with us today and for presenting, I think, really interesting practical way of implementing the concept of digital twin, not only in the time when we are pressed by pandemic to be more digital, but to show it how it could be part of business as usual, as everyday business operation, because I can imagine that Vox, the software will stay them disregarding this approach. It's not software, this approach will stay with them. The digital approach towards project development and also sort of communicating with customers their products, to making the customers to embody the product into their everyday life, that they will stay disregarding COVID pandemic. So thank you very much for your presentation and for sharing your experience with us. And of course, if you're able to stay and follow with us for the parallel session, you're very welcome. And thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, and for the invitation and this ability to be here today. Thank you.
And I have also a short announcements for our participants. So today, after the short break, we will be able to join the parallel sessions. So we have 2 blocks of parallel sessions. The first block is at 9 o'clock Polish time, Warsaw time. So please check with your time zone. This parallel session block will last for 2 hours. We will be meeting in 3 different breakout rooms on the Zoom. So it won't be transmitted on YouTube. So I would like to ask you kindly to finish this transmission soon and to move to Zoom. And then also on Zoom, after a coffee break, we will welcome you for another block of one session, where we will be discussing some topic related to modeling simulation of logistic processes. And then after a coffee break, I would like to invite you all again to our YouTube channel, to our live stream, for two excellent keynote speeches of Professor Hong and Dr. Chen, when they will be showing us different aspects of existing of company, of conducting research during COVID pandemic, experience from USA and from Taiwan. So it will be quite interesting comparison how the problems of COVID are tackled by researchers and by companies in different parts of the world. So please, for our keynote speech, follow the link. You can see in the program, you can see on our webpage to the live stream. This session will be chairing my colleague, Professor Łukasz Hadas, and then I will meet again with you for our closing ceremony at 3 o'clock, when we will sum up some major information about this event. So I would like now to ask everyone to leave this streaming and move to Zoom for the parallel session. Thank you very much. And see you soon on Zoom.